This is KGW News at 5.
Hey everybody, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Galen Edlin. We begin with a tsunami that rolled into the west coast, including Oregon and Washington. Luckily, the impact was low and we've not heard of any major problems from this. Tonight, we'll be getting the big picture about response and what this means for bigger events possibly down the line. But first, our Christelle Kumwe takes us there to the Oregon coast to see how it played out locally.
On this beautiful day on the coast, a tsunami advisory had a lot of people come to viewpoints like here at Arcadia Beach to watch the waves. But throughout the day, emergency personnel kept warning people to stay off the beach. Tsunami waves started crashing along the rugged Oregon coast around 8 Saturday morning.
There's not like multiple waves breaking, it just seems to be like one constant wave coming in.
Haley and T.R. Jamar are on the coast for a camping trip and grateful to have seen the news about the tsunami advisory when they did near Arch Cape.
We've never been a part of something like this before. We were asleep in our Subaru just a few feet from the shore, so we were glad we found out about it.
A tsunami advisory is the second highest form of warning issued for a tsunami. It means waves between 1 to 3 feet are expected and people should stay away from the shore.
And then another storm surge comes in, like right now you can see down the beach. You definitely don't want to be on the beach.
State officials warn people to stay away from port harbors and low-lying beaches because strong currents can be dangerous. The fire department was on site Saturday at Cannon Beach, telling visitors to stay off the beach.
The waves themselves are bigger than normal, and I know it's been king tide season for a while, but these are, I think, probably even bigger than that.
Even though Alan Barber has lived on the coast for 10 years, he was still impressed by the sheer power of nature.
It's a good reminder that it can be dangerous out there, and that if you're on the beach or even if you think you're far enough away to just admire it, to just always be cautious and always be careful.
Many gathered at viewpoints for a front row seat of the crashing waves, all agreeing it was quite a sight from a distance. As of 11 a.m. Saturday, the largest wave recorded in Oregon was in Port Orford at 1.2 feet and another one in Charleston at 0.8 feet. I'm Christelle Kumwe for KGW News.
All right, let's shift over to meteorologist Joe Ranieri now to catch us up on what's going on. We know a lot of people have been told to stay off the beaches today.
That's right. And the watches and warnings that were in place basically up and down the west coast have expired, at least throughout Oregon and Washington. The tsunami advisory that was in place expired right around 30 minutes ago or so. We still have an air quality alert throughout much of the valley, and of course throughout the Dalles you still have that freezing fog advisory throughout the evening hours. But this is where the tsunami advisory is still in place up and down the California coastline. Like Christelle was just saying, the peak wave heights really weren't all that impressive here locally along the Oregon and Washington coast. Where they definitely were seen were along the Port St. Louis, California. That's basically between San Francisco and LA. They saw wave heights up to about 4 feet earlier this morning. King Cove, Alaska, close to 3 feet. In Crescent City, California, you saw wave heights earlier today close to 3 feet. Here in Oregon, the highest peak we saw shortly after this issue, the advisory was issued, was over in Port Orford at just over a foot with wave heights. Now, all these wave heights are kind of scattered all over the place between 1 and about 4 feet. Well, it's dependent on location and underwater topography. And here's a live look along the central Oregon coast over Newport. Haven't really seen an impact from the advisory, and along the northern Oregon coast over in Cannon Beach, you're looking at calm conditions right now. But again, that tsunami advisory that was in place since 8 o'clock this morning expired just about 30 minutes ago or so. Things are relatively back to normal, at least along the Oregon and Washington coast. But again, advisory still in place throughout the California coast this evening and will remain that way, at least for a little bit. I'll talk more about your local forecast and the rest of your holiday weekend coming up in about 10 minutes.
All right, Joe, see you soon. Thank you. The tsunami advisory had officials in Washington scrambling to make sure everyone was safe as well. That included in Pacific County, the southernmost coastal county in Washington. Art Edwards joins us now in the newsroom with what they're saying. Hi, Art.
Hi, Galen. You know, the Long Beach Peninsula was one of the areas that was under the advisory. It is in Pacific County. The director of the Pacific County Emergency Management Agency went to Long Beach to check on conditions there. Now, along the Washington coast, the first tsunami wave was predicted to hit sometime right around 8:30 this morning. That happened along the Washington coast. The waves were about a foot, but they look different than normal waves is what people are saying. People were warned to stay off the beaches. That's not what officials in Pacific County found this morning.
I went down and encouraged people to leave, and then I drove back to an area behind the leading edge of the dune, which we had determined to be a safe area.
Now, McDougall said that he saw what he believes was a tsunami wave, looked different than other waves that he's used to seeing. He is encouraging people to continue to stay off those beaches, at least for right now, in Pacific County. Galen?
All good perspective. Art Edwards live for us in the newsroom. Art, thank you. Well, even though there was no tsunami disaster today, experts say these conversations are really important through everything. And here's why. I interviewed Professor Peter Ruggiero about an hour ago. He studies coastal hazards and the impact on people and geography. His work includes gauging preparedness.
It's a little bit of a dry run in terms of thinking about how a tsunami might impact our coastline and making sure that people stay safe. The thing that we need to worry about most here along the Oregon coast is not necessarily these far field events. It's our near field event, which is the Cascadia subduction zone and a subduction zone earthquake along that fault.
For perspective, as Joe and Christelle were telling you earlier, today's tsunami waves in Oregon were just about a foot or so. And in the event of a Cascadia quake, experts project that could be 20 to 30 feet and with a lot less warning. Other experts at OSU are also tracking how this tsunami response played out on our coast today. Tim Gordon shares how the threat led to some evacuations.
The Hatfield Marine Science Center is a gem of a marine lab and education center in Newport. They got early word of the tsunami advisory.
So we were informed, and there was a call at about 6:30 in the morning.
OSU's Mark Farley says since they didn't know exactly what to expect, they got everyone out of the way.
Because Hatfield is in a pretty low spot, we think about our infrastructure. We also have students housed in the inundation zone. So we went and evacuated them kind of out of caution.
From Newport and all along the coast, people were watching from a distance. This drone video in Cannon Beach shows a lot of surf pushing up to the top of the beach, but not causing visible damage. As the day progressed, it became clear that predictions of a more mild event were accurate.
We didn't see any inundation in our parking lots or on the property. And it did give us a chance to kind of practice all these processes we put in place for preparing for such an event.
Practice at staying safe, and now a real-life chance to study what this underwater volcanic eruption near Tonga means for us here.
We know a lot, but we don't know everything. And so when waves come, sometimes their reflections, their height varies in the region that you're in. So the whole kind of affected region from Alaska down to Northern California will see different results based on where you are.
In other words, some places saw the water's push increase today, and some, like in Newport, did not.
Okay, so Mark, based on what you know so far, how would you characterize this tsunami situation?
I'd say we did a great job. We didn't see any results, and for us, it was a non-event.
Still, the tsunami advisory, a necessary message for everyone along the West Coast. Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Let's get you some other news here. Police in Eugene are setting up a tip line as they work to catch the person who shot 6 people at a nonprofit concert venue. Officers responded to the Wow Hall last night, and it was a frantic scene when they got there, with people trying to care for the wounded. Wow, can you imagine? At least one person is in critical condition. 5 patients were taken to the hospital and another walked in.
Anytime you have more than one victim that's a victim of a shooting, I think the definition is 3 or more. And so I would say, yeah, we've got multiple victims of gunshot wound. I think this is about as close as you're going to get, and certainly one of the highest profile shootings we've had in the city of Eugene.
Now, police say no one at the concert last night would really cooperate with the investigation, so that means whoever did this is still out there.